There is one thing I don't like about the album I'm about to discuss is that the CD holder or the case for it is much bigger than every other case, and it never fit in anything that I ever had to hold my CDs. And that always kind of bothered me because it just was like this. I had to lay it on top of things or put it beside it. And so that's my one complaint about Halloween. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, currently ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album released after he passed in December of '93. And I am currently on number 34, Halloween. This was released back in 2003. It is a single disc, a DVD audio disc, which, like, I'm not an expert in, like, if there's a different mix out there that I like or I don't like, I know why I don't like it or like it. I'm not really sure exactly what DVD audio is. I know it does not play in a regular CD player. I have my official DVD audio version, which I can play through my television stereo system. I also have somebody burned it to a CD for me, so I don't know what that involved, but I do have a CD version of this that I can play on any stereo. So thank you, the person who did that many, 18 years ago or so. So I'm going to say this is probably ranked closer to number one on my list than it would be on other people's list. It is kind of a strange little album, but when it came out at the time, where I was, how often I listened to it, what it meant to me, will always be sort of a sentimental favorite. It is one of those things that this was before the Zappa Family Trust was really into releasing sort of the live shows, the Halloween 73, 77, the 81, the Mothers, the Carnegie Hall type stuff. They had yet to fully deep dive into that. And so when this came out, it was kind of a step in that direction, and I really loved it for that. Plus, I was really obsessed with the Halloween 78 shows at one point in my life. And when I was doing my sort of mid-90s, late 90s, all-text web pages, I devoted an entire set of pages to just the Halloween 78 shows. I will put a link to that in the comments if you want to check that out. So that is, my opinions have changed since I wrote that webpage. So don't hold anything, if you do check it out, don't hold anything I say against it. But it is a complete breakdown of literally every single Halloween show from that run. Which was a phenomenal run, and let's hope that that's what we get this Halloween. But anyways, this is a weird mix of songs from the entire 5-show run, kind of sequenced to feel like an actual show. So props to ZFT or whoever did this Zappa company. This wasn't a ZFT release officially. I don't know what it was back then. But anyways, it is still available on their website, which is why I'm reviewing it. Plus, I know it is on YouTube if you want to check it out. I don't think it's streaming anywhere that I've seen, though. But anyways, yeah, so it's just a bunch of live tracks from that run. This is an amazing band. This was, Barrow and Kaliuta's first time on board. Danny Wally was back in the band. For the Halloween shows, Patrick O'Hearn was there, and he very much makes a difference in some of these songs. You got Ed Mann on percussion. You got Mars and Wolf on keys. And I think that's about it. Oh, yeah, and El Shankar guest spots a couple times throughout the run and then on a couple tracks here. The sound is pretty good. It is a little weirdly audience-y, but maybe that may be the DVD audio mix, sort of how it's supposed to sound. But for the most part, it's a great sound. And it's got a couple really surprisingly strong performances that aren't sort of like mind-blowingly aggressive or crazy, but kind of oddly chill in a weird way that I really like, because it's a little bit different than what Frank usually does. But anyways, this is what's on here. It opens up with way too long, a minute plus of the New York City audience, kind of setting the feel. I don't need that on a single disc CD, but whatever. Then you get Ancient Ornaments, which, if you buy it, it says it's 8 minutes and 23 seconds. It's not. So Ancient Ornaments was the name given to the opening solo. Frank would come out, the band would play this sort of like vamp, and then he would solo over it. The solo itself is only about 4 minutes long. And then there's a lot of talking and kind of audience interaction. I did remember, I know I usually don't show product because I don't really care about packaging, but I do actually have the original Ancient Ornaments. It was the B-side to I Don't Want to Get Drafted. So I was super excited when this came out because I thought, oh, the full solo is actually much longer. It's not. But yeah, I got the Ancient Ornaments right there. It was the B-side to I Don't Want to Get Drafted single, which I thought was cool. And I like this better because it doesn't have all the talking, but I still like this. Then that goes into Dancing Fool. Again, it's just a Dancing Fool. That goes into Easy Meat. This was the best Easy Meat of the run. They did do a good job of picking this one. It is the longest of the run. I think it has the best solo of the run. So it's just a really good Easy Meat. That goes into Magic Fingers, which is one of the reasons I absolutely loved this disc when it came out. There had yet to be, we had the Magic Fingers on that You Can't Do That on Stage Volume 5, but I wasn't as much a fan of Volume 5 because it was buried amongst so much other stuff I didn't want to listen to, but I really, really appreciated this one. Now we have Chicago 78 with the Magic Fingers, which kind of has replaced this in my heavy fall 78 listening thing, but sentimental reasons. That goes into Don't Eat the Yellow Snow, just Don't Eat the Yellow Snow, not the entire suite. And I think for the Halloween 78 thing, it was just Don't Eat the Yellow Snow that was played. They did not play the entire suite at that show. So that's interesting. And so you just get that. Oh, no, they did play the entire suite at that show. I am wrong. They did. But this is just the Don't Eat the Yellow Snow part and not the rest of it. My bad. That goes into Conehead. This is Conehead with lyrics, like the lyrics that you would get on You Are What You Is. And so you get an early version of that. It's not as fully developed as it later would be, but that's pretty interesting. And El Shankar gets a pretty nice little solo. Not a really, really long solo, but it's a pretty nice little El Shankar solo on here. That goes into a Vinny drum solo. Then you get into Stinkfoot. This is a really good Stinkfoot. The solo in this Stinkfoot is really good. There's a moment where Frank spots someone in the audience, Loeb or Leopold. He never tells us which. These two characters that used to go to the Garrick Theater back in the 60s, and Frank recognizes the guy, and they have a little conversation. He talks about how the guy used to lie on stage, and Frank would spit Pepsi all over him. So Frank promises he'll maybe do that later in this show. He never does, at least not to my knowledge. So it's a pretty good solo. It's a really good little Stinkfoot. I think they edited out on this, but on the actual tape, Frank goes on and on for quite a while before they play it, that the band did not rehearse this. And they're like, they kind of know it. And so if they mess up, don't, hold it against them. I think that's edited out of this, but it's, it's before the track on the live tape, which is, I always thought was interesting. Then that goes into Dinah-Mo Humm, which I've always had a fondness for this Dinah-Mo Humm because before they play it, Frank acknowledges that some people really hate this song, but it has a special meaning in the New York area, so they're going to play it. And I always felt heard when he said, hey, I'm sorry for those of you who don't like it, but we're going to play it anyways. And I have to admit, it sounds better than other Dinah-Mo Humms, and I'm giving full credit to Patrick O'Hearn's bass playing because his bass really kind of pops and stands out. And it just makes some of the parts a little more swaggery and disco-y, and to me, that's a good thing. That's followed by Camarillo Brillo into Muffin Man. I love this pairing. This is a pairing I will never get sick of. Good performances. Right before they go into Muffin Man, when they're doing the ending of Camarillo Brillo, right before they slide into that da na 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 na, right before they do that, Frank is like talking to the audience and he goes, "Put that bong down," and then they slide into Muffin Man. And I always thought to put that bong down, yelling to an audience member who's apparently in a New York City audience smoking a bong in front of the stage, which I always thought was a pretty crazy thing, Anyways, I don't think you can get away with that these days. Apparently, laws were much laxer back then. And then it closes with the most interesting thing on here. Black Napkins into Deathless Horsey. So it starts off with Black Napkins, every Black Napkins, just like we know, the 78 version. It's it's a good solo. It's a strong FC solo, not a phenomenal FC solo. But about 4 minutes into it, into the song, maybe into the solo, Frank just all of a sudden starts playing the opening vamp to Deathless Horsey. I can't sing, but he plays just that like vamp, right? He's not playing that that melody part, just the like vamp. And then El Shankar comes in and starts kind of soloing calmly over it, at which Frank does then the melody, the I can't hum it. But he does the actual like guitar riff that would like start off the song proper over the amp. And then him and El Shankar kind of go at it for a little while, and Frank starts to solo, and then Shankar gets to, play a little bit. And it doesn't really reach these epic peaks, but it goes on for, the whole thing goes on for about 15 minutes. It's got a pretty nice chill vibe. It's like a really kind of calm way to end the show. I'm like, it's not like calm, but it's kind of chill. It's not as ferocious as you would think. And for some reason, I just absolutely love it. It's very interesting. It happened a couple times, I think, on this tour where Black Napkins went into Deathless Horsey, or at least I saw it on set lists a couple times, but I'd yet to hear it. This is the only one I've ever heard. The tape of this, the Black Napkins cuts off right in the middle of the solo, and you don't get the Deathless Horsey, as I acknowledge in those pages. I'm going to put in the link. But yeah, so that's it. I mean, it's an hour plus. I think it's like 70 minutes long. Some great songs from a good band. It's a fun album, I think. It's probably ranked this closer to number one for sentimental reasons more than anything else. I'll acknowledge that. But it's still a fun listen, and there's some really good moments on it. Easy Meat solo is good. The Ancient Ornament solo to open is great. The Stinkfoot is fun. And the Black Napkins, Deathless Horsey, there's kind of nothing like it out there, so it's very interesting. And then the DVD did have video. There was a Suicide Chump on there, a black and white. It's from a earlier in October show. That entire show is on YouTube. It's in black and white. It's a pretty decent, pretty good show, actually. Especially that opening solo is phenomenal. But if you're interested in grainy black and white shows, I think it's 10/13/78. Might be a Passaic Capitol Theater Passaic show, if I'm not mistaken. But that's all on YouTube. There was the Dancing Fool from SNL was on it. And then there was an interview which was on it, but that was audio only. So anyways, yeah, it's an interesting listen. It's on YouTube. You can still get it, I think, on Zappa.com if you have DVD audio or you're into that stuff. But check it out on YouTube first. Not saying you shouldn't buy it, but it's a fun little listen. And it's my number 34, Halloween. ZFT released the entire 78 box set, all 5 shows. They deserve to be heard by the world. That is my plea to you. Please hear my plea. That is it. Subscribe because of the algorithms and all that stuff. Take care, people. Peace.